So I'll be honest, I didn't really expect to start this channel with a rant, but, well, I've been seeing this issue pop up more and more, so here we are. Accept it. One of the most important parts of the Yu-Gi-Oh community is deck profiles. They're a way for people to show the culmination of their time and testing with a larger audience and discuss why they think the deck works as presented. And that's great. It's a fantastic starting point for discussion and debate. However, that's where the issue lies. Because when you post your deck profile, you're gonna get questions. People are gonna ask about your ratios and why you are, or a lot of times why you aren't, playing a certain card. And time again, I see a little two-word response being used to completely shut down the discussion before it even has a chance to begin. It sucks. Like, that's the phrase. It sucks. And I think that's a huge issue. Because when your response to a genuine question is something like that, it just prevents any and all discussion or communication, which removes the potential for learning and growth for both sides. But let's back up a little bit and just look in general at why this response is bad. Honestly, it's pretty simple. Saying it sucks gives basically no information whatsoever. Now, this may surprise some of you, but generally speaking, people don't play cards if they think they're bad. Sometimes you'll hear a super specific response like, normally it's a good card, it just isn't great in this current meta, so wait till next format. That's fine enough reasoning, that works, you can discuss that. But in general, people aren't deciding to not play cards if they think they're good. No one's sitting around out here going, nah man, I don't want to play that good a card. I really prefer playing suboptimally. I mean, think about it. Has anyone ever asked Jesse Cotton why he doesn't play a card, and his response is something like,
because it's too good for me to run. If I added even one copy of that into my deck right now, I would become nigh unstoppable. The Pharaoh himself opening Exodia every game for the rest of eternity would be nothing more than an ant beneath my feet. I'd be an Egyptian god among men, an unstoppable duelist unable to even compute the concept of defeat. And I'm not yet ready to lose the thrill of competition. Not now. Not again.
Listen, anyone who sees you not running a card, especially if it's a well-known option, can safely assume that if it's not in the deck, then you don't think it's worth it. But the question is still why? And I think if you're willing to share your deck profile to begin with, you should be willing to answer that question. Obviously, this helps people collectively learn, as usually there'll be more than one person wondering that, even if they don't actually post the question themselves. And even a simple, basic answer about just what weaknesses it has can help them learn to more critically analyze a card. That's fine, that's a good thing. We should want people to keep growing in this game that we love. But funnily enough, I think that taking the time to give a well-thought response doesn't just help whoever asked. It also helps the poster themselves. Because as the saying goes, teaching someone is the best way to learn. And I mean, think about it. Teaching someone something requires you to not only go over the material and fully understand it, but find a way to make that same material approachable enough for any audience. That requires a high level of understanding. And the same also applies here with discussing a deck. If you know your deck well enough to explain each and every choice in an easily digestible way for your audience, then congrats, you really know what you're talking about. But if not, I'd recommend going over your deck and really considering why things are the way they are. And this doesn't just have to be limited to big names sharing their tournament decks, by the way. Actually, I highly recommend this for everyone. Take whatever deck you are currently working on, sit down, and go through it card by card. For every card, write down why you're playing it. What does it do for the deck? Why are you playing it at that ratio? What strengths or weaknesses does it have? And what tipped the scales enough for it to stay in the deck? My friend James actually makes a spreadsheet for every deck he works on, and it breaks down the main deck, extra deck, side deck, and even potential cards that haven't quite made the cut yet, but are still worth at least discussing. And I think it's a genius approach. It makes discussion and deck theory so much easier because we can see exactly what he's thinking for any card at any given moment. It also helps him to look past the norm of what's played and actually make every single card in his deck earn its spot not just be there because that's the correct way to play it. Doing this might actually help you realize that staple 3 of you've been playing for the past couple of years might no longer need to be a 3 of, or might not even need to be in the deck at all. And conversely, that card that's been sitting right outside your deck just waiting for its opportunity, it might actually be time for that. It might be the right format with the right matchups where that is better to play, even if it hasn't had the chance before. And this is stuff where I'm just discussing something you can do on your own. When you get more people involved, more minds seeing different perspectives and viewpoints, the chances of you being able to actually objectively figure out what is best grows, because you'll have external forces that are helping you make key decisions. And this is why I think if someone asks a question on your deck profile, you need to give a good answer. Not just because it's right to give it to them, but because by opening up that dialogue, you might learn something about your deck. It might be that there's something that needs to be changed. Or you might actually just double down and realize that you really do agree with what you've been doing all along. Either way, you and or whoever asked that will be taking steps forward as a competitor and a duelist. And at the end of the day, I think that growth alone is worth doing this. Now, I'm sure there's more that could be said on this topic, as well as someone who could say it better. But I just wanted to bring this up as my first video because honest communication is so important and benefits everyone in this community. So hopefully this helps someone out. I'll definitely be doing this when or if I post any of my deck profiles. Hold me accountable on that. So yeah, that's it for now. See you whenever I post again. Until then, subscribe to King Scarlet Yu-Gi-Oh! Because he's a much better creator than I will ever be. So yeah, that's about it. See ya.